This is the Backlot 605 podcast, and it is now time for another interview from the Backlot. Welcome to the Backlot 605 podcast. I am joined here at the State Theatre with my co-host, Brian Mensing.
How's it going?
Great. And my co-host, Blake Ginnethan.
What's up?
What's up? I am Casey Calderman. Here we are inside of the State Theatre here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota with Allison, Weiland, and Stephen Dahlmeier.
You got it right.
Yeah, I got it right. We're starting off good then. That's a good start off. How are you guys? Good. We're excited to do this, and we're sitting here in the States, and we're going to talk about the history of the state, some of the programming that the state will be doing. And I just want to start off with the first question, maybe just a brief history of the states, because it's been closed now for almost 20 years. Can we just kind of go over a little bit of the history of the state and where we are from where it started till now, just very briefly?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it opened in 1926 for silent film and vaudeville performance. So it was on the circuit. And it was really successful, throughout the decades. There was up to 10 theaters, I've heard, in downtown Sioux Falls. So people were going out all the time to the movies. It was just like a social hub, basically, to get out, especially before television. So it really thrived for decades. And then in 1991, it officially closed. A lot of things were happening. Downtowns were kind of failing. The big multiplexes at your malls were all the rage, and so you could go see your choice of so many movies. And then these small movie palaces, as they're called, because of all the ornate artistry throughout, they kind of closed. They were expensive to run, and they only have a single screen, and things need to be updated. Like, for instance, the State Theatre never really had HVAC, air conditioning. It was the same chiller system from 1926 that we had to remove. So a lot of things need to be updated, accessibility, things like that. So they closed down. But since it closed, many organizations and individuals have really loved this building, and they've taken care of it. And that's why we're at the state we're in. So many people have donated throughout the years to keep the lights on, to keep, water paid, and just kind of keep maintenance on the building. A lot of these, tragically, have just crumbled. There's not many of them left throughout the United States, which is really sad. And so throughout the years, the downtown Sioux Falls, I know, was a part of it, and the Film Society tried to get this up and running, but it's a huge building. And so in 2005, the Sioux Falls State Theatre Company got involved, and we're a nonprofit, 501c3, and just basically, let's fundraise, let's save it. And that has been done. The building saved. We're a historic landmark with our marquee. And throughout those years, we were able to fundraise enough to do the lobby. And now we're really excited because we'll be able to open our doors to the public with the opening of our main floor.
Yeah, we're very excited for this to finally open. I know Blake and Brian, you guys have both been here pretty much your entire lives, and this is something you guys have been waiting and itching. This is your first time.
I've never been in here before. I've never seen a movie before, so I'm super excited that this is finally opening.
So many people have walked past the doors all the time. They have no idea the treasure inside.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be really exciting to, smell the popcorn, get people in here, and have them watch a movie.
Yeah. I remember growing up in Sioux Falls, you were told not to go downtown.
Yeah.
You don't go downtown, just don't do it. And then now look at it, that's 25 years ago or so, but it's just completely changed. And it's great that the state is going to be sort of like this, for me anyway, it's the centerpiece of Sioux Falls.
Oh, I think it's going to change everything once this is finally open.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We'll be open, every night.
Oh, just answer
so
a question of ours. All right.
Yeah, and 7 days a week, we wanted something kind of spontaneous. People can go out. I mean, it will help the restaurants. There's not much to do sometimes on a Monday or Tuesday. And then we wanted to be affordable and a spontaneous venue for Sioux Falls.
So my big thing is, what is the programming going to look like here? I assume we're going to have first run movies. Are we also talking repertory screenings, midnight movies? What are we looking at for?
Yes.
Yes. This is my golden question.
Yeah.
So.
I like the fact that the answer is just yes so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, our thing is to be as diverse as possible and try everything.
Yeah.
And so what we kind of planned is, in a week we could be showing 6 different films. Weekends would be first run typically, depending on what the studio has in their contracts. But Monday night might be we're talking like Music Mondays, where it's like Purple Rain, Sound of Music, anything that might deal with music, not necessarily musicals. Talked about classics nights. Thursday nights we could do double features. Literally everything we're looking at.
So in a way, your goal is to almost educate the public on all kinds of movies that are out there for people that may not have heard of certain titles and stuff.
Yeah, you won't see as many probably blockbuster first runs. Kind of some of the second tier first runs. We've got big theaters on either side that'll take the Marvel movies and stuff. And those are hard for single screens because they'll lock us up and we won't be able to show anything else for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we don't want to do that because we can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
So they can because they've got other screens. So we'll look for some of those second tier ones that we can get our hands on. Parasite would probably be a good one like that. Get some of those films on opening weekend.
Yeah.
But also mix in other types of programs. And it'll be, we are going to be very flexible on what we can get our hands on and what we can try.
Sharknado Marathon, maybe?
Yeah.
Hey,
We've
now we're
talked about
talking.
Old Yeller Cujo double feature.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Stuff like that.
You're
Like,
already sold.
let's try it. And midnight showings of Rocky Horror Picture Show, and just stuff that Sioux Falls hasn't done before. So,
That was a question on my
Yeah.
personal list,
Yeah.
Rocky Horror. So.
yeah.
We got to do it. It's
Sioux
so
Falls
fun.
needs it. I don't know why no one does
Yeah.
it. This is the
I always
perfect
wondered
place
why
to do it.
West Mall stopped doing it, because they used to do it for the longest time.
Did.
And I remember, because they would put that up on their marquee. It was almost like it was ritualistic that every Halloween you go to the West Mall, and it pains me to say that I never pulled the trigger to go, I'm going to go experience one of these. For that's not a movie, that's an experience that I think people need to have in their life.
Yeah, it's like interactive, and they've been
Yeah.
doing it forever. And it brings out actually, like, we both have gone to the one in Uptown Minneapolis. It brings out all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The young, the old, and they're all having a great time,
Yeah.
geeking out over this weird movie that is just like, such a cult favorite. So
Yeah.
we're really excited to kind of bring that to Sioux Falls.
With rules, though, of course.
Yes.
We didn't get all this beautiful paint and
Mhm.
nice equipment.
Yeah.
There might be some of the Rocky Horror rules you'll be like, you're going to have to leave that one at home.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No.
Mhm.
We'll provide stuff for you.
And what's really fun to talk about, like series and things like that, like family film series is something we really want to do, Saturday and Sunday mornings.
That's a question.
Yeah, okay, good.
You literally just answered my question.
Well, what's crazy is like people my parents' age grew up coming to the State Theater. Their parents would drop them off and they'd spend the weekend,
Yeah.
like Saturday and Sunday watching cartoons in the morning.
Yeah.
And things like that. And we want to bring back, classic films as well, I guess you could say. Like, what would I want my daughter to see on the big screen?
Yeah.
Some of those, things like Goonies, E.T., bringing back some of those for families, but also doing, double features and things like that for the kiddos and families.
Yeah, when we were talking about this, that was actually one of the first things I even brought up, because when I was a kid, when I lived in Illinois, there was a theater, it was the Lincoln Theater, and what they would do for the school kids during the summer is you bought a pass. It was good for the entire summer, and it would literally list every single movie you went to every Saturday morning, and you just brought the whole thing in. I don't remember. Obviously, we're talking 35 years ago, but like it was like $10, $15, and it got you basically entertainment for the entire summer.
Wow.
And I mean, as weird as this sounds, I remember that's how I saw Canine. Was because it was a Saturday morning thing. They did like Beetlejuice and all sorts of just things like that. And I immediately was like, this would be like the perfect venue for that.
And we'll be giving away, like, I think right now it's 1,000 free movie passes to kids in the school system. We're we're going to give them to the schools and they get to kind of designate who they send them out to, because we're here to educate not only on film, but film history, building history, the arts. I mean, talking about vaudeville. And, I was giving a tour to fifth graders and I kept on using the term film. We'll be showing film. Finally, by the end of it, one raised their hand. They're like, what is film? Saying how it had to be shipped here and how the projectionist couldn't leave, the room. And there was actually a toilet up in the projection room that we just removed because they couldn't leave. They were up there. They had to, and all that. So it's just really, they're like, really? They didn't have, sound with film. There was someone who, played music beside it. And that brings up, we also have our original Wurlitzer organ that went along with silent films. And there's less, I think, than 40 of them in their original movie palaces. Wow. And we have it, but it's a huge expense to restore it and get it up and running. But we will someday. That's another phase, another huge.
That's phase 4.
Yeah, exactly. But we really want to get that rocking. It would be a really cool experience.
I was telling my wife, I was like, I really hope they do Saturday morning Looney Tunes. So I have a 1-year-old daughter, and I was like, I just want to come down on Saturday and watch Looney Tunes. Mm-hmm. So very excited to hear that.
My kids are 5, and they probably would still do that too.
Yeah, the one thing we probably won't show is Disney cartoons.
Yeah.
Just because they
really.
The Mouse House has a lock on that.
You can get tied into stuff with them, and so probably.
I'm not terribly worried about Disney cartoons, but
I've got Disney Plus for that.
Yeah.
I know.
What was it? 2 years ago, we showed The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, with AARP sponsored that, and we had the whole place packed with kids. Because like a 30-minute film maybe, and they loved it. I mean, that's some vintage cartoons. There's lots of stuff.
We did.
Catalog's huge.
3 showings of it.
Yeah. Sold out
all. So that's awesome. Did that evening, Ghostbusters and
Hocus Pocus, which has like this huge following.
Sold out of those.
It's sort of hit like this new zeitgeist too, where like everyone's going back to it, and now they're making a sequel to it. So now everybody's like, and I've never seen Hocus Pocus. So that, like for me, like there's certain movies now that I'm going to wait to see, and they're here. Like I've never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show. I'm going to wait till it plays here.
All right.
Grease, other things too. So
you've never seen Grease?
Never seen Grease.
Wow.
How have you never seen Grease?
How was your wife never made
it? Okay. We started, it was 2 a.m., didn't last.
Well, we might do it as a Grease sing-along, so that would be better. So
okay, perfect.
Wear your leather jacket.
You got the hair already.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah. I do have leather jackets somewhere too. So
you have the Danny Zuko hair.
I can just totally twirl this down.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of alluded to something that we thought about here is what type of different events or like program you're going to do, like opera, symphonies. What other kind of out of the box things do you guys think you might be doing here outside of just your traditional film viewing?
We are going to stick to cinema as far as what we won't have any live performances, just the stages, and we don't have the funds to build out.
Sure.
We have 2 great downtown locations that are made for that.
Sure.
So,
sure.
We're sticking to cinema.
Very cool.
Now, that being said, we will add in, some live components to some of them. So if it's directors, producers, writers coming in and doing Q&As, there's circuits that people go on. So we try to get some people to come in. Napoleon Dynamite did it last year. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Paul Rubin was traveling around. And so grabbing some of those, so then you watch the film with them. They go up on stage and do some Q&A. So we'll be set up for that. We also just fun stuff like Rocky Horror Picture Show, having actors out there, sing-alongs with dance troupes or stuff that come out. We don't have much stage space when the screen's down, so some in our floor space is very limited too with the seating arrangement. But it will be. We'll try to do what we can. We even talked about some movies doing like bingo beforehand. Every recliner has a table and everything, so gets people to sit here a little bit longer and something else to do, and we've got the space for it. So. Why not?
Yeah, and something we've always talked about is like putting an educational component onto it. So like Film 101, we show Jaws and have like a great white shark expert or someone come in and talk, or like, showing some old sci-fi movies and talk about, the future of AI and things like that. So what we can do in our space is limited, but still at the same time of us focusing on film, we get to do so much. I mean, we can go to all ends of the spectrum.
So to piggyback off that and the other stuff about like educating people on film, are you guys planning on? Are there plans or ideas of doing like some sort of film society that's based here, where people can come and say like? So back in the day, when I was in high school, they had the Sioux Falls Film Society, and they picked 6 or 7 movies, and then the next, like, it was a Monday night, and then the next Saturday morning you'd go to Zambros and you'd have a discussion on the movie. Is there anything like that that's been talked about involving the state?
Nothing that is planned right now. I mean, the tough part right now is it's Allison and I. So our goal right now is to get open and start getting. I mean, we're working on the construction side of things. Trying to figure out what concessions we're doing and paint color floors and strange
everything.
Things. So that on top of trying to get when the doors open. So not saying it. A year from now we can start looking into expanding some of that stuff. Maybe a week-long camp or something in the summer too. A lot of old theaters do that. It's great.
Definitely.
But we got to, staffing-wise, we're a little short on that, and then just how far we can go. So.
We will have like membership options, of course, and things like that. But I love the idea of a film society, creating some kind of network. I think there's a lot of people in this town who'd be really interested. And honestly, during all of this like lockdown and everything that's been happening, so many people are watching films that are outside of their typical viewing, I think, which might be a bonus of it. They're exploring a little bit more, that palette. So hopefully we can keep that going too here in Sioux Falls.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the biggest goals that we had when we started doing the podcast and all our stuff was we want to get we want to find all the film lovers and the film fans in Sioux Falls and have a center place for us all to just get together and talk movies, because movie fans are already kind of an out-of-the-box thing. Not everybody's a movie fan.
We're the outsiders.
Yeah, we're the outsiders.
We feel like outsiders.
Yeah. But if you find other people, we've only known each other less than 2 years, and we feel like we know each other for our entire lives because of movies. Yeah. And I think that's a really cool thing. And if this can kind of be a home for that, that would be really cool for Sioux Falls, and that would be something Sioux Falls really would enjoy and I think needs a little bit.
Yep.
We definitely entertain that once we get established.
Yeah.
Cool. We might know some people.
Reach out.
It's funny. I was looking through the 100 greatest movies of all time that you see, like AMC post and everything. And after going through that list, it's like a lot of these films we need to have discussions after.
Yeah.
When you're looking at everything that's on there, a lot of these classic films. I mean, so something like a film society, even just having a panel up to talk about, let's dissect this. Let's unpack this a little bit. This film. Because a lot of those are really important, as far as the history of film, but we do need to talk to them about in today's climate.
Yeah, the next question we kind of had on here was kind of more the technological side of this. What kind of projector are we looking at? And I know we talked about it off mic about the sound system, but if you guys could explain what the technological side is going to look like.
Yeah, projection, it's a Barco 4K laser. It's what Alamo Drafthouse uses in the cities. I don't think anybody else in the cities uses it. But it was, when we placed our order, which was last year for it, that was one of the top of the line ones. So that's what we got. So we're excited to get that thing installed. We have a 35 millimeter projector up there. It's really old and it doesn't work. So it would need a lot of work to get it going. So as of now, we're just going to stick to digital. We don't have any plans to go film, but that's as we get established and kind of get our stuff understood. Maybe we would love to get back into that. And get that going again. So
especially as digital keeps progressing and whatnot, if you ever got to the point where you guys were able to restore it, imagine just the idea of hey, by the way, we now have our ability to do 35 millimeter, or I think that would just bring a whole different level to it, especially some of those old classic films.
And there are some movie nerds who are when they see a film advertised in 35, it's that's the
I know
reeling in the fish,
like Christopher Nolan films.
Yeah. So we and some other things that go with 35 and 70 millimeter is the just additional costs
Right.
of renting them.
Right.
And so then that increases costs of showing them, and then you gotta, is it worth that additional
Right.
expense?
Right.
We do a lot of work with the Heights Theater in Minneapolis.
Okay.
Talk with them. They have 3570 digital, and so just their shipping costs for film
Yeah.
runs them for 3 films. It was like over $2,000
Yeah.
to ship the film. So
With-
that's a little daunting to see how many tickets you got to sell to try to make up for that, or how many times you got to show it to
Just to pay for the shipping.
just to pay for that.
Yeah.
And then you're having film too, so your responsibility. So
Get a projectionist to be able to run that.
Yep.
Yeah.
and then it's sound to go along. We show you at Meyer Sound. There's 18 speakers around the floor, main floor, which is where we'll be seated now. It's not Atmos. It's a little hard environment for that with the way that we're set up here. But it is Dolby, and we'll have a Dolby processor and stuff that'll connect through. So awesome.
And as you can see in the theater, again, it's not just giant, big black boxes. They
Yeah,
really blend in and are like, as historically, speaking with the paint colors and everything, they do blend in so we can let the artwork really shine. And the technology, you might not notice it, but that's what we want.
We have you here basically, if you guys are looking for volunteers or what volunteers would be doing or anything that, outside of you guys that, we'd be able to help with like the state.
Yeah. I mean, well, being a nonprofit, we can't afford to hire 30 employees to work here. So we'll have, we're looking at possibly 6 part-time employees, and then the rest will be volunteers. So ushers and kind of greeters on weekends, helping people mostly the first few months as we get going, and people scanning in tickets. So we'll definitely rely on a big group of volunteers, and we'll have incentives of, work so many hours, you get free movie tickets, stuff like that.
Especially being open every day.
Yeah.
We're going to be relying on a lot of people, not just the ones who want to, do it during the holiday season or something like that. Like, we're going to have a nice core of people that are going to help us out.
Yeah. My mom already volunteered.
There we go.
She's like, I'm going to be down there. I'll help out. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, so you can go on our website, sign up.
Done that.
Yep, I know you guys have. So once we start getting that or opening, we'll do some volunteer training and kind of go over some of that stuff.
Cool. Yeah, the next thing we have on here is the virtual cinema, which you guys have just been starting to do, and it seems like it's really kind of taking off, especially now that everybody's been in quarantine and we're all watching different stuff, like you said, and we're all exploring maybe things we never heard of or thought we would ever watch. And you have it right on the marquee, some of the films that you're going to be showing. Can you tell us a little bit about what the virtual cinema is and what the response has been to that?
Well, I mean, the virtual cinema is a way for shut down theaters right now due to COVID to still engage their audience. And so the studios have stepped up and kind of pushed this. Mm-hmm. And so us not having worked with studios before thought, hey, let's give it a shot. Same playing field as other people. And so we started just cold emailing studios and saying, hey, can we jump on this? We're opening eventually. So so it's for us, it's been a great trial run on dealing with studios. They're not the big name studios. We're working with Warner Brothers, but not for like these type of films. But we're working with Magnolia and Kino Lorber and some of those others. So it's also a way to, online Facebook stuff has all been about construction for the State Theater and history for the theater, and it hasn't been about film at all. And so now it's a way for us to slowly start to transition our audience into, come September, October, whenever we get open, this Facebook page is mostly going to be about film, and you're going to hear about all the stuff that we're showing. And so trying to educate our audience and prepare them for what we will, a taste of what we'll be showing.
Mm-hmm. It's also great too, because like 40 to 50% of that ticket comes back to us, which is wonderful. So a lot of people want to give back during these times too, and it's a good opportunity for them.
Well, my next question is sort of been answered to this whole thing, but it's like, in your opinion, what is going to set you guys apart from every other theater in Sioux Falls?
Well, there's only one state theater like this in Sioux Falls. It's a movie palace. Like I said, so many of them were just torn down, and so I think a lot of people already have a really soft spot in their heart for the State Theater. When you're walking through the doors, it's so much more of a experience, and that's what people are really looking for. A lot of times in order to go to a historical theater, tickets are $120. You're going to see, Les Mis or something like that, but this is something for everyone. It's affordable. Bring your whole family in, talk about history. We're also doing the recliners. We went back and forth a ton on that, and it just seems to be got to get people off their couches, and that's something that isn't being offered right now in Sioux Falls, and it's fun. Once you go to a movie and you do that, and you have your beer, your wine, it's kind of like, this is nice. And on that note too, we also just got approved for our beer and wine license, so we'll be able to serve that. Concessions we're going to keep pretty standard fare. We might elevate it in some areas, but people like popcorn. People like milk duds when they come to the theater. And then, of course, just the content that we'll be showing, where we are really we feel like we really know our community, but we're going to get to know it so much more when we see what works, what doesn't, and really tailoring it to that.
Yeah, and I'd say we're going to be flexible. And, the two big theaters, they have their set stuff that they always show. So we know what to expect from them. And West Mall has been a good partner throughout this whole process, and so they have their films that we usually can probably know what they're going to be showing. So a lot of times we'll be showing stuff that's different than all of them. Occasionally we'll have stuff where we'll compete against them, but for the most part we'll just be separate. So programming by itself, separate.
So obviously, by the sounds of it, both of you are probably pretty big movie fans. What would you say is your favorite movie? And just in general for the programming of the state, what would be the one movie you definitely want to make sure you got to bring here?
You think it's an easy question, right? And then if you
I know my answer off the bat.
No. Oh, totally get that. And it's like, oh man, what are they going to think I'm a nerd? If I say this. I grew up watching like musicals. They were my babysitter, right? Growing up, I had like Roger and Hammerstein, case, and that's what I watched all the time. So I'm huge on like musical adaptations of everything, but that also goes into like movies with great soundtracks, The Big Chill, Blow, things like that. But I would have to say, if I had a favorite movie of all time, it would have to be Shaun of the Dead. I love that movie. I could watch it over and over. The humor is so perfect.
I need a triple feature of the Cornell trilogy.
Yes. So that would probably be mine. It's my favorite show or movie I like to show to other people, and kind of have someone in a room with me and like react to it.
The one where you're always watching them more than the screen.
Yes. So
you're not going to make me watch a zombie movie. Trust me.
It's great.
Yeah, and I like to just watch new movies that I haven't seen before. So as far as like a favorite, the one I always liked and enjoyed, and I honestly haven't seen it in a while, Field of Dreams is one that I can sit down and watch that anytime. I've always
You're from Iowa. That doesn't count.
That's a big thing in Iowa. That's what we got.
And then as far as what program, we get to program, so we'll get to have fun with that as far as what we're going to do. I know, like I said, we're watching kind of the talk that you guys have on some of the Facebook groups and what you guys would like to see. So, we can mark, like I said, we'll take notes on all that stuff and some of the double feature stuff. And,
we'll
fun with it.
I'm really excited about doing a movie Monday, getting people out to the theater. Usually theaters are dark on Mondays. So like getting them here and seeing things and having kind of a theme, like The Last Waltz is one of my favorites, featuring the band, you have everybody is in that. And just having a more movies that people haven't seen in the theater with other people before. They've just seen them at home, So I think bringing music into that is going to be really awesome.
I'm so excited.
Good.
I'm so excited.
Steve and I are both like, all right.
No,
you got the advantage of just living down the road.
I told my wife, I was like, listen, I will be spending more time downtown at the State Theater. She's like, yeah, I know you will. So I'm super excited.
Excellent.
Excited.
Good. I think a lot of people are. I know we're like living for that moment to get people in here, but so many people have been waiting, patiently.
I remember donating money like a decade ago, like, oh, it's going to be open next year. And then it's like, what's going on, And so I feel like we're finally there. And
Yep. And on that note too, the main floor will be open. We also have the balcony that needs to be restored yet and a third floor. What we're really hoping for, the third floor was originally the manager's apartment. And we'd really love to put in a micro cinema up there. It would give us flexibility with a second screen to have more diverse content and then be able to rent it out. I mean,
you could also do the Film Society up there too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just rental for conference. I mean, not a conference, but like
board meeting,
meetings, retreats
birthday
like that.
parties.
Yeah,
It's a
got
great
all the
view.
windows facing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something we really would like to
Very
add.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
How many seats are going to be in the second level when that is complete? Do you know offhand?
It might be another. Right now there's
Like 100.
Right now there's 400 seats in there.
They're tiny.
Yeah, they're tiny.
They're really
You
tiny.
couldn't sit and watch a movie
So
up
we're probably be cutting that capacity in half.
Would they be recliners or just seats?
No.
Recliners, you'd be staring at the ceiling in the balcony.
Oh.
So they'll be very comfortable, but recliners just won't work.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, very cool. Last question I had, or not question, but last statement. If people want to volunteer, where can they go to sign up for that?
Yeah, Sioux Falls State Theatre.org. There's a volunteer link right there, so you can just click on that.
You can
Sign
also
up.
donate on that website. I wouldn't be good at my job if I didn't.
I receive
mention that.
volunteers. She
Yeah.
oversees fundraising.
You
Yeah.
can also
That might be a
donate
better thing to throw out there right now.
There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, thank you guys again for letting us do this. This was a lot of fun, and I think all three of us are just
Cheesing.
Good,
super
good.
excited for this to finally open.
Yeah.
So thank you guys again.
Yeah.
Thanks.